So Klaus, we are live. It's really happening. We are live again on a Fairground Jam. For everyone who is new to this show, this show is about our testnet called Fairground. As you can see, it's themed with this ghost of liquidity and these fancy colors. And our testnet, of course, we use to test the newest features and do some things to see like where the technology is going. And it's not restricted mainnet, so it's a testnet. We only have play money here at stake, so to say. And this time it's special because just today we launched another incentive task for you guys. Let me share my screen and I walk you through it. Klaus, can you see my screen?
Yep.
Okay, so everyone who participated here last 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago is probably very well aware what to do because we are more or less running the same incentive again. Thanks to all your feedback, we got a lot of bugs highlighted and things that we improved on the front end. And I think we are now in a quite good stage, and most of the stuff should be fixed and should work perfectly fine. So whoever is new to this incentives, you can go to Fairground WTF and then you will see there the active incentives, and /rewards2 is actual incentive. If you haven't done any incentive yet, you need to follow these instructions how to register by signing a message on console and tweeting it. And yeah, like this incentive is this time, it's kind of special that it's not only about what you guys discover and what kind of issues you are having or like what works well. Of course, we're happy to hear praise on Discord as well as if things are not working so well. But this time also we will do some tests and simulating an emergency and also change some network parameters and see if everything works as expected. So if, for example, the delay between reward payouts and stuff changes from, at the moment, I think it's 6 hours on Fairground. If it changes to 0, what happens? How are the rewards are paid out when people can withdraw them? Is everything calculated correctly? Are there issues with the user interface? So this is something that we are also testing on our end. In this case, it's please for everyone who is participating, you might experience some issues in this case and might need to rerun some of the incentive tasks. Hopefully not, but this is something that can happen. So just you're aware, this is like not a tutorial for everyone who's watching to, I want to try staking and nominating Vega tokens on Vega and earn rewards to see how it works in principle. This is more for experienced users to see how everything works. What you actually need to do in the incentive task, first of all, you need to get test Vega. If you don't have any yet, you can go to console. You can just, if you don't have a wallet, you can click here and create a web-hosted wallet. I think most of you guys have this by now. Otherwise, there's also a video linked here if you have problems with the step, and there you will find a step-by-step instructions how to get this part done. But once you're here, and if you actually don't have testnet Vega yet, you can click on your wallet, click deposit withdraw, and then you need Vega testnet. Here are all the assets listed. And if you click here, get Vega, then you get 5 testnet Vega from the faucet. Make sure that if you're using MetaMask that you're on Robston. I think otherwise it will not even allow you to interact with it. But yeah, you need to be on Robston. And if you don't have Robston, which you need, of course, for the fake Ethereum transaction, there's also on this page a link to an Ethereum Robston faucet where you get free Robston Ethereum. And yeah, once you have all the tokens, testnet tokens, you can run through the staking process. Let me ask Klaus a very interesting question while he's here, and then I will disassociate and walk you guys through the entire process. So I had like some testnet Vega already nominated to some validators, so I collected quite a lot by now. So I'm one of the biggest whales on testnet, I think.
Well done.
Yeah, one thing that I found out on testnet, fake trading is enabled as well. So like if you go to console, you can see that's also something that we will focus more on in the future. That you can see here that it's actually possible to trade at the moment. And because there's like fake trading on testnet, I also collected rewards. And this is a good question for Klaus, how this actually works on Vega. So our Vega is not used for fees, right? So how do I get, why do I suddenly, after having staked all my tokens, I get a lot of different kind of assets suddenly showing up in my wallet? Where is this stuff coming from, and how is it connected to trading?
So the way Vega will eventually be financed and validators will be paid and delegators will be paid is by trading fees. And trading fees can be in pretty much any cryptocurrency that we will have a bridge to. So you can trade in euros. If there's a corresponding cryptocurrency, you can trade in Bitcoin. So there's always a sort of cryptocurrency underlying the trade. And the fee is then generated in that cryptocurrency. So once trading starts, you will amass rewards in the fees that all the trading is happening in. What we probably will do, because Vega is a trading platform and may get a little bit unyieldy to then have rewards in 50 different currencies, that there would be an internal Vega spot market. So you can say, I only want Ethereum, so I trade all my other things inside Vega for Ethereum, and there's only once pay the fees for the external blockchain if I want to get my rewards out.
Ah, cool. What's then the function of the Vega token if fees are not paid in Vega?
Well, for now, because we don't have trading, you get your rewards in Vega tokens. There will be something with liquidity too, but I'm frankly not the right guy to ask anything about liquidity provisions and fees. So that's a question for the more trading-oriented people. So I don't actually know if you still will get Vega if the trading is fully enabled. If you just stake, probably not.
Oh, okay. Then let me quickly explain here, guys. And everything that you see here, like the entire interface, you see it's now all working correctly. As you can see, I have like 13K test Vega tokens associated, and 500s I have not associated. I will do this later. You can see I have even multiple Vega wallets. And this all now works fine. And this is really all thanks to your feedback, guys. Like you guys have reported so many issues with the info box, so that you can see there's now a big rehaul, I think it's called in English, to redo all the things. Now let me quickly disconnect and walk you through the process. So now also disconnection now works much smoother than the last incentive. So the staking is kind of self-explanatory. First of all, you need to connect an Ethereum wallet. If you do this for the first time, MetaMask will pop up and you need to confirm it there. Now we need to connect a web-hosted wallet. You can, of course, also do like connect a local wallet for testing, but for testing, I recommend the web-hosted wallets. They are much faster, and anyways, it's just play money that you put at stake. But web-hosted wallets are not available on mainnet, of course. But for testing and on Fairground, feel free to use web-hosted wallets as well. And as you can see, I have already 20 of them, so I can highly recommend them. Yeah, and now you get like the feedback that your Ethereum and your Vega is connected correctly. And now we can associate more Vega tokens with wallet. And I think here's something that we need to discuss about terminology. Most people, I think, use staking and delegation as terms, but in our UI, it's called associating. Klaus, can you explain what exactly happens if I associate my 500 Vega tokens here?
So the reason why we use this is because it's multiple step for us. So the Vega token lives on Ethereum. And for the Vega network to actually know this is your token, you need to communicate with the Ethereum chain, which then tells Vega this token now belongs to this Vega wallet. And that's the only point where you actually have to pay Ethereum gas fees. So from then on, everything happens on the Vega system. But that's the first step, that Vega actually knows this Ethereum tokens belongs to that wallet.
Now I have a theoretical question. I see that we very often go for a mainnet. I think I've seen like 50 confirmations. I mean, it's a network parameter. Is there actually ever been like a transaction or like a how do they call it, reorg of Ethereum with like 6 transactions? Have you ever seen something like this? Or what is the probability actually that something with 6 confirmations on Ethereum is still did not went through, or that there is a chance that for double spend?
I don't know what the maximum was that actually ever happened, but I would say it's still possible, especially if malice is involved. So for low-level transactions, you probably don't need to wait 50, but we also want to be on the safe side. And since it's something you do one time, it's sort of fine to wait a little bit more. There have been reorg attacks on other networks that went pretty fast, so it's a little bit voodoo on what's the right parameter there is. But
yeah, I think
I wouldn't feel well with 4 or just 6.
One thing that always bugged me is, I think that if you have a blockchain that uses proof of work, and there is already using another blockchain using exactly the same hash function. And then in theory, like miners coming from like a different network and they have all the hash power, they could easily do a reorg, right? So I think, for example,
this
Ethereum,
actually has happened. So there were Ethereum spin-offs where then one powerful miner could just come, throw the whole mining power on it and completely own the network, and then did a reorg attack. So this is happening. So if you want to build a small proof of work-based blockchain, then use a hash function for which they don't have specialized hardware yet. But generally,
is this something easy to do? Or to build a new hash function that is completely incompatible with these ASICs miners?
Well, you generally shouldn't build your own hash function, but what you can do, for example, is you can combine existing hash functions. There was a nice competition from NIST, which had then 6 good hash functions. So if you concatenate 3 of them in a new order, then probably most of the existing hardware will not work because they're focused on one hash function that is then used in Bitcoin or Ethereum. And it is a little bit more critical, but it is also possible to add some additional steps in between just to make it look different without decreasing the security. But then you should understand your crypto a little bit, that you don't make things worse.
Okay, so basically, there's no good reason. So Litecoin, I think, is using a very different hash function than Bitcoin, right? They are not compatible, but Ethereum and Ethereum Classic, for example, they run exactly on the same, no?
Yeah, so that's why Ethereum Classic is, I think that's where the attack actually happened, because there's so many Ethereum miners. And the other fun thing, when Ethereum moves to proof of stake, there's a lot of unused mining rigs that will be retargeted somewhere, because that stuff costs money. So where will that stuff go?
Yeah, it's funny. And a little bit I see like a market happening there with Ethereum gas price and the so high, and the network being so congested that there's more and more incentive for people just run a spin-off of Ethereum and do the same thing again. And if you have like lower traffic, then everything will be lower. But obviously then, yeah, you run into this big security concern in proof of work.
So that's one of the weaknesses of proof of work. You really want a big network. So if you run a small network, then proof of stake is much more secure than relying on the same hash function or even a very similar one to existing proof of work networks.
Cool. Guys in the chat, if you have any questions or you can still hear us, let us know. If there's any questions. I don't have my Slack open, so I don't see what Dagan is telling me if I missed something super important. So you guys need to tell me in chat directly. So the next step now, what we have done here is we have connected our wallet. Now we have associated our tokens, and now everything we can do instantly and without any fees on Vega. While I think we explained this multiple times, but some of you guys probably watching this for the first time, the tokens still live in Ethereum, and even if you lose your keys to your Vega wallet, you can always disassociate from Ethereum. So while you now can nominate your tokens to a validator, your Ethereum tokens are actually, ERC20 Vega tokens are actually not really at risk. Okay, 1 minute explanation. What is the validator? What do I see here? What do these numbers mean? And why do I need to nominate my tokens to a validator, Klaus?
Well, so this is what gives a validator actually voting powers and money. So by delegating your validator to a validator, A, you get a reward, and B, the validator then gets their reward according to the share of tokens they have, and in future versions also the voting weight for the consensus algorithm. So what you see there is what the validator is, what the total stake is that has been delegated to this validator, and what it means in percentage. And if you go back, the third thing you saw is how much you have delegated in there. So HAL 9000 has 11,000 delegated tokens to them, and 10% of this is from you. And
is there anything I need to pay attention to these percentage numbers?
Well, we do have an anti-whaling rule that we try for validators to not get too big. So if a validator has more than 20% of the stake, I would try to delegate to another validator, and those numbers are changing if we have more validators, of course. If a validator has very little delegation, it may be worthwhile looking in why is this? Is this a new validator? Or check the forums if it has turned out this validator actually did bad stuff, and there's a good reason why nobody delegates there. What we are trying currently is just keep things reasonably balanced, so there's no validator too small, and well, there's a system that prevents validators to get too big anyhow. So
mainnet was launched with 13 validators that were, I think, voted by the community for, and then there was this decentralized network launch, which was super cool. What actually now are rules or plans or ideas for like how to or when to kick a validator when people think he's not doing well enough, and how to add a new validator? What are your thoughts on this? If I now really feel like, or the community, let's say, really feels like Marvin here is doing a shit job, he's too depressed and brings everyone down, how can we get him out of the network? And how could we then add another one or add more validators?
So at the moment, there's no automatic mechanism to kick out a validator. It's essentially then the other validators that need to kick that guy out. What you can do is, of course, not to stake to this validator anymore. And if they don't earn any money because nobody stakes to them, they will probably stop themselves, because it's not good business if you don't have delegation and you don't earn money. There will be a mechanism in the future which makes this more automatic, that there's a lower threshold of delegation that a validator needs. And if they drop below this threshold, only they drop below it for 3 epochs, there will be some security mechanism that they don't come and go all the time. Then the validator will be automatically removed, or the other way around too. People can announce they want to be a validator, then can accept delegation. And once they got a certain level of delegation, then they are part of the validator set. That's in the future. For now, it's essentially a decision of the validators, which of course listen to the community. So if you want to be a validator right now, it helps to be active in the Discord forums, make it known that you want to be a validator, present yourself, and if you make a good impression, then the other validators will talk with you, and the next round, the number increases, you may be a candidate. So right now it's a manual process, but it's run by the validators. We have no role in the validator selection anymore. Well, we never had. The first one was also a community vote.
So yeah, just to understand the economic incentives, I think it's quite interesting. If I nominate my tokens to a specific validator, I earn rewards, but at the same time also like part of the rewards that my tokens are earning also goes to the validator, right?
Yep,
so
exactly.
This is how the economy works, and therefore the validator has incentive to get tokens from random people, because then they generate money for him. And if someone now, like the community absolutely hates him, and Marvin really is the least likable person in the universe, then he gets no tokens, and then basically he needs to run his infrastructure to run Vega and doesn't get any money, right? And then
unless they
also
stake, so the validators also need to stake a couple of their own tokens, so he still gets money for that, but then nothing above that. There's one exception again, which is the anti-veiling rule. So if a validator gets too much, then the reward doesn't go up anymore. And that means essentially that the reward per token that the validator can pay out goes down. So that's also a bad business deal to delegate to validators that are too big.
Okay. A very important question. If I know, okay, see, let's say anti-veiling kicks in above 20%. I think there's like 2 mechanisms in general. First is like the cap, that just the network can behave in a way that once a validator has more than X% defined by some sort of formula, then just you cannot nominate to it anymore. But there's also the one that then rewards are decreasing, right? If I now nominate tokens to this whale here, the Star Trek Enterprise NCC 1701E, it's a Picard one, I think. Do I get nothing for it, or do I get just less rewards if I now nominate?
Isn't that the code number for the Millennium Falcon NCC ones?
No, I think you're mixing up Star Trek and Star Wars, which is a very serious crime. Luckily, we are not on a live show.
No, so you still get something, but everybody gets a bit less, because the validator over the threshold doesn't get more reward. But that reward is now distributed over more people, so everybody gets less. If they get way too much, then the reward even goes down. But I would say in practice, that's a very theoretical possibility.
Okay.
Because the goal is to drive delegators already away from too big validators if they, long before that happens. And we don't stop you delegating to a big validator anymore, because it would have led to some really bad UI experience that I delegate and I don't know if my delegation goes through until the end of the epoch. So we thinking about replacement mechanism, but right now you can always delegate to a validator. It's just not wise to delegate to 2 big ones.
Okay, so there's one interesting thing. If I'm super rich, and I don't care about money and I'm willing to hurt myself, and I know that you have staked everything to Skynet, then I can give a lot of tokens to Skynet and then you get less rewards, right? It's not because everyone who has staked to Skynet gets less rewards if it's over 20%. And if I know what, like, put like 1 million tokens here to Skynet, then basically your rewards would decrease, right?
And everybody's reward would decrease and other people should leave Skynet. At this point, everybody who has 1 million tokens is a very responsible citizen or VC, so that's not going to happen. And we guess that the tokens will get more diluted, so somebody having that many tokens that they could really mess this up is unlikely. If there is this danger, we will think of another mechanism to prevent this, but we had it in the beginning, and then the UI experience was just awful. So we figured the risks that somebody comes with 1 million tokens and trolls you by going to popular validator and to get the reward down is just a non-existing risk at the moment. It's a theoretical problem, but the bad UI experience was a really practical problem.
Do you remember? Okay, I gave some stake to this here. One very important, guys, for everyone who's running on the incentive, your stake only gets active on the next epoch. It looks like you clicked on nominate and you feel like, okay, I have nominated to this validator now, and the incentive tasks are to nominate and then to withdraw later. But be very, very careful. You need to wait a while, because only if you have tokens nominated at the very beginning of an epoch, only then you start generating rewards, right? These newest 150 Vega tokens that I just gave to who? To Marvin. They don't do anything yet, right? They just start in 9 minutes to generating rewards. And then if I remove my stake during an epoch, I also don't get anything, or do I get like a little bit because I had them nominated at the beginning of the epoch?
So the normal remove mechanism is that if I mark for remove, it's removed at the end of the epoch. So for example, if I want to change validators, I can remove from Marvin, then nominate, what's the other, Skynet, and that change will then happen at the end of the epoch, so I never lose a beat. There is another mechanism that you can say, I want to remove from this validator right now because I hate that guy, or because I want to sell my tokens, so I don't want them nominated. I want to sell them on Ethereum, and I want control on which tokens I sell. So then you can unnominate now, but then you lose the entire epoch.
Okay, understood.
So then you lose the reward of that one epoch.
I just saw by removing that you also get exactly this message what you just explained. So if you see, if I remove here 5 tokens, it says it on the button. Now I click too fast again, but it will be applied in the next epoch. So okay, that's all cool.
But you already have cleared it now, so you can stake it already. So at the beginning of the next epoch, it will also be staked.
So I don't lose like a full epoch by now adding it here. And now they go here. And this happens instantly, yeah? So in the second, it gets, that's cool. Is this a computer science problem that it gets, because is there something like an empty second between one epoch? Or is there like, how's this happen? How's this?
Well, it's an atomic action that happens between epochs. There's some program that runs once one epoch ends before the next one starts, which normally should be invisible. There's one thing, and we had an update that's also mentioned in the tech update block. If there's a lot to compute, so we had one function in that under rare circumstances, if the tokens are very poorly distributed, which they were in the very first epoch, that it can compute quite a while because it's tried to distribute everything fairly down to 18 digits or 18 digits behind the comma. So in the first epoch, we actually did have a while between epochs because all the validators spend some time computing this transition function. But this is now, it's not happening now because we have a nicer distribution and we already also fixed this in the new version. But from the point of view of the blockchain, this is atomic, so all of these things happen at the same time and it cannot tell what happened first.
Yeah, the important concept, wasn't aware of it, but yeah, okay, so that's interesting for me that this is this way. Okay, now guys, since the last incentive, we now have like 2 more tabs here. Withdraw works exactly as you would expect, with one important thing. Now, since there's trading on Testnet, you will receive all kind of assets, but you need, of course, to withdraw your Vega rewards. So these Vega rewards, I cannot directly at this moment restake them. I need to withdraw them first, and once they're withdrawn, I can associate them again. Is there like a strong reason for this, or something that will happen in the future, Klaus, that I first need to withdraw before I can reassociate them, or like what's the logic behind that?
I don't actually know if you have a reason or if it's a UI thing. Yeah, that's a good question. So I don't know if there was some problem that came up with if you automatically do that. Need to check that myself.
So here now, if you click on withdraw, you also need to click here, and then you get, also need to pay another Ethereum transaction, because now actually the tokens go to your Ethereum wallet. And this stuff is happening on Ethereum. Okay, so this I think is kind of self-explanatory, and here also we have like this reward overview where you can see for every epoch. Mainnet testnet is now here running for 158 epochs, and you can see my stake, and you can also see the reward that I'm getting. There's a cap at the moment for 700 Vega. I think is the maximum that you can get with a single address. Not sure if this will stay for forever. And here, I think it also tells me what percentage of the reward pool I'm qualified for, right? And
you really are a whale on Testnet.
Yeah, it's my only success in life. I'm a big whale in the Testnet where there's no real money. Okay, and yeah, withdraw, we discussed the rewards. Then we can quickly go through the tech update that you guys probably or may have seen that happened on Monday, I think. And there's a few new cool things. So first of all, there's here one of the validators, Nodes Guru, have put together a dashboard to show key stats. I think it's quite cool. If you go here and you look at it, you will find a lot of information about the mainnet validators. And also, yeah, you see a lot of the things that I've just shown you here in the real world with real validators. And yeah, you can also click on them and you can see who are actually these people running Vega. And what else can we see here? Yeah, we can see their percentage of stake. So it's fairly nicely distributed, I think. No huge gaps. And then, yeah, we see how much stake they will have on the next epoch. And yeah, what was the last reward that a certain validator was earning? And I think you can click directly here, and then if you like want to stake yourself, it also helps you. Let's see, what do we have here? I think this is a percentage overview to see who is the biggest. Would be interesting to know, like, if people have like reasons why they stake for a certain validator. In the perfect world, what should be my reasons to decide now who to stake to? What should be my logic to decide if I give my 5 Vega tokens to this guy or to this guy?
So the main logic is you trust this guy to do a good job validating. So you want to stake to people where you have the impression this looks like people that are very good at running a reliable network. There's some other factors. So for example, some validators have contracts with exchanges. So for example, CoinList is staking on behalf of a number of people that bought CoinList tokens. So they're not staking to all validators. They stake only to a few validators. And then, well, your logic could be that must be a very good validator. So I stake them, or your logic could be, well, they already got all the CoinList people, so I better support the other validators that are dependent on people that stake personally. I did the last logic, but yeah, I don't want to tell people where to stake. But generally, yeah, if you trust this validator and if you think this validator doesn't have the stakes that represents their ability to validate well, then go to that validator.
I see a lot of the validators are also very active on Discord. And I think one logic could also be if someone helps you with something, you ask a question, and then you can also just appreciate that people help you, spend time on you. It's part like of the trustworthiness logic. So yeah, this is very cool. That, I mean, do you feel very relieved about mainnet, how everything went, and that it's live? I think for you being so long with Vega, this was probably something very interesting to follow, right?
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
this entire decentralized process to launching a network is something that I personally have never seen. I mean, like software are released, there's one entity who decides, and suddenly 13 people, even like complete companies and entities, need to do something at the same time. Yeah, what's your view on this? What went through your head, and how happy are you with how mainnet is doing so far?
I'm very happy how it runs. So we did get some hiccups, but that's exactly why we had restricted mainnet, and it was all the kind of hiccups that we sort of said, yet it's exactly the kind of stuff we want to find before we start trading. So in this, it absolutely did its job. I think the validator have now found a rhythm also of communicating with each other. So I'm very happy with how that went. But I guess the main person who is happy is Louis, because he was doing all the work in making that happen. So I'm the technical guy who developed some of the protocols, but Louis is the guy who is really responsible for this having really worked. So big kudos to him for that. And
yeah, it was very interesting. And yeah, I see like the upsides and the downside of decentralization, like, because obviously like having 13 people doing something on their own, coordinating, brings like way different complexity to a network. And yeah.
Also, when you start doing this, you really see where decentralization is usually an illusion. So we had a lot of validators that were also asking, nobody was that decentralized before. People normally were much more pushy on do this and do that. And we really don't want to be the organization that tells validators what to do. So the level of decentralization and what has to happen behind the scenes to make sure you're really decentralized and you don't just have 10 validators that in the end all still use the same cloud infrastructure or all still listen to the same guy telling them what to do. That's it is surprisingly hard.
Yeah, I think, yeah, I'm not sure if I'm surprised by it, but obviously it's something that, yeah, now everyone needs to figure out and to find out to do like, but in the end, it's a success and it worked. So
it still works, yeah. So
it's done. Okay, so now we can talk about some of the new things that are happening in the new testnet release. So we have freeform governance proposals nowadays activated, and in the past you can make like some proposals, change this network parameter from this to that, and it's like a formalized process to do that. But with freeform governance proposals, as far as I understand now, it's also basically possible to write freeform, I need this feature, and do you guys think the network should pay part of the community treasury to this company to develop this feature? Yes or no, and then people can vote on it. So basically, yeah, now, if I understand this correctly, then it really means like that much more processes now can be properly democratically decided.
Essentially changes from deciding on some configuration parameters to sort of full government that makes, where the community makes their own, let's call it laws. Although.
Yeah, exactly. So then we have reward calculation at the end of epochs will be much quicker. The current version costs notably slower block times at epoch end. Do you know exactly what happened here? Or
well, that's the thing I mentioned, where between epochs you have this one atomic thing where all the rewards are calculated, all the delegations are recalculated. And because we did things fair down to 18 digits behind the comma, some things took unnecessarily long if under some conditions that actually were there during the first epochs. So now we found a way to make sure maybe we don't need all 18 digits, maybe it's 10 digits, it's enough, and we stop the process before it takes too much time.
Okay, cool. So yeah, let me see if I see any big questions here. Okay, there was one complicated question, how to disassociate actually from Ethereum if you lost your Vega keys, and Vega protocol was saying, please ask this question in tech support. That's true. I also don't feel comfortable doing this now.
But disassociation should work normally even without having the wallet. You can just, the smart contract on Ethereum can disassociate even without needing the Vega key. So that is an action that happens on Ethereum.
Yeah, but do you know how to do it? Because otherwise I think it's a good, otherwise let's follow up on this on the Discord in the tech issues channel. Yeah, that should probably
then be a tech support question if you can do it through the token side without needing the Vega wallet, but I haven't done that yet, so I don't want to promise too much.
So let's see, people complain about gas fees. Yeah, Klaus, can you speed up the process that we have Ethereum 2.0? That would be my last question for today.
Actually trying to slow it down by having features that I would like to see in there. So maybe I should hold back with that stuff. Now Ethereum 2.0, so I do see why they take so long, because this is a system. So we had the luxury, we started a system with no trading on it. So we have the luxury, we can experiment, we can afford to make a mistake, and then if a big mistake happens, we say oops and get a new version out, and nobody actually lost any money. This is why we started the mainnet the way we did, restricted mainnet without trading. So if we figure out there was something we missed, nobody loses a lot of money. Ethereum doesn't have this luxury. If they flip the switch to Ethereum 2, there's immediately an enormous amount of money that is on Ethereum 2. There's a very high level of complexity with all the financial products they are running on there. There's probably opposition from a lot of miners that would lose the value of their mining gear. So I'm sort of happy they're really, really careful with what they're doing. And I understand the need. I mean, I don't like the high gas fees too, and I'm really hoping this gets solved too. But I also see there's a tendency in the whole crypto community. I want this out fast, and the first guy who gives me a product wins. And given there is a lot of money that will go on there, I also want people to be thorough and not just say, oh, I have a new idea, let's try to push it on the market in 1 month, but take the time it needs to make it safe. Because if you have low gas fees and then there's a stupid bug in there that somebody can run away with all your assets, that doesn't help anyone either. So Yes, I would like to see that speed sped up, but I'm also happy that they try to make sure they do everything right before they flip the big switch and we have Ethereum too.
Okay, guys. So yeah, we cannot promise any lower gas fees for the moment.
But once trading is enabled and the rewards are generated in different cryptocurrencies, at least getting the reward out will then be possible also on other chains that are hopefully are then cheaper. So it's a problem right now, as long as you have only Vega, that you can claim this only on Ethereum. But once we start trading, the reward will come in various different currencies, and then hopefully some of them are also a bit cheaper to redeem.
Yeah, and then if you have like the spot market, you really solve this problem once and for all, right? What you explained in the beginning.
Yeah, then you can have someone collecting a lot of Ether that the gas fee doesn't really hurt them. And if you're a small time investor that has what $500 worth of assets on Vega, then you can try to sell the coins that have high gas fee and try to withdraw some more with low gas fee.
Okay, Klaus, thanks a lot for your time. It was, as always, a big pleasure talking to you. And yeah, thanks for explaining all the things. Sorry that I have asked.
I think this time you actually explained more than I did, so.
So I'll start learning from you. Maybe I pick up at one point. Yeah, sorry, I had also to ask you a lot of these questions again, because some of the viewers or people that watch the video later might not have seen it yet. So yeah, I need to ask you to explain what a validator is again. But thanks for taking the time explaining the community everything, and have a great evening.
Likewise, and thanks for having me.
And thanks to the community who was watching, and good luck with the incentive, guys. And if you have any questions, see you on Discord. Bye-bye.